So thanks, Revizto and Mark Jones and Travis for inviting me to share a couple examples of how we use 3D scanning and Revizto and Revit all together on some projects. Um, Little history, Holiday Parks has been around since 1889, so 132 years now. I started with them initially in 96. And then had my own business for a bit and have been back. So today, basically, we're going to go over a couple scenarios where we've used 3D scanning with our Trimble X7 and Revizto. And this project here is a little different than what we normally scan, as it's new construction, ground up, and we scanned the site before we even installed. So this is a super plot of the coordinated underground systems, the banks of conduit, plumbing systems. And this is what it's going to look like in the model using Revizto's overlay feature. We can turn off the overlay and get down into the model and look at the routing. Everything's clear. The grade beams, we've already cleared the pile caps. We can see that we got conduit running up between these two elevator vaults over here, and everything's looking good, but there's something missing. We got a call from the field that the shoring wall is going right through that area. So we don't have a model for the shoring wall or a CAD file for it. We have this PDF. And so we're able to kind of take a look and assess how critical this could be by taking and overlaying that shoring wall over the model, right? So we can take and overlay this PDF, take a look at it, and we can see that, yeah, the shoring wall is kind of running right through those two elevator vaults, and also in the proximity of some of our plumbing systems. So this is definitely something that we would say this is very likely an issue. Whether how severe it is, we don't know. We're also getting information at that time that the shoring isn't exactly going in like this drawing shows. So there's another document that lives out there that we do not have. So we can make an issue of it. We put shoring in the name, we're able to search for it and pull it up. And so at that time, we could see that there's a couple things to look at. One, the plumbing's clipping it a little bit. It's easy adjustment if it's really there, but that shoring wall going through that big bank of conduit, that would be a big deal right there, because that would move all that conduit out into our plumbing, so it'd require a lot of reroute. So we basically have to figure out where that shoring really is out there. And we could use a tape measure and sketch out what's there if we can't get a document. And that process of creating a sketch and giving it to somebody is really like a silo, because it goes to one person evaluates that data, makes an assumption, models up what they think the solution is, and then prints a PDF and sends it off, and that's it. And so there might be other solutions or other information going on there. And the thing that Revizto does is it kind of brings stuff together. And using the scanner, we're able to push the scan straight into Revizto. And so all the team members are able to view the content at the same time that a detailer or engineering designer is processing that data and producing a model. So we can kind of see that, you know, concurrently, the data is going here, it's going here. They can be making accurate changes here. Also, while we getting feedback from the installation team or the foreman or the project managers. So all of that can kind of happen at the same time. And a lot of that communication goes both directions with Revizto versus, a siloed one direction flow that kind of slows things down a bit. So this is what the scan's going to look like on the tablet while you're in the field scanning. You can kind of see the tower crane swinging around there during the scans. Those 30 scans took about 2 hours to do. It actually took longer to go through the site safety orientation, especially with the extra COVID stuff, than it did to actually do the scans when we were on site. So here you can see we can bring in on the tablet as well, we can bring in 3D models, like there's the conduit, and you can kind of already see that that's that batch of conduit going between the elevator vaults. There's no shoring wall there. So the shoring wall that's in the field is definitely different than the drawings in that particular area. So you can view this in the field, but the challenge with viewing this data in the field is this is a surveyor or a scanner operator, somebody that's running that tablet. That's not everybody's going to see this information, right? We can kind of see here that while we're out there, we can say, yeah, that plumbing is an issue right there, right? But it's kind of, again, it's siloed information. It's going, the scanning operator is going to see it. The foreman on site is walking with you. He's going to see it. But that information isn't getting to shared that well. We also have some utilities coming in on this side of the site as well that aren't in the model at the time of the scan. So what we're looking at is model data at the time that the scan was done, right here. So when we bring that back into Revizto, we can kind of see a snapshot at the time that that content was brought in. And you can kind of see the scan with the model. And what you also get here is the overlay of the 2D document, that shoring drawing. We can see here the other utilities going out as designed. And then by flipping to 3D, we can see what the current model shows, not what the snapshot at the time that the issue was created or evolved. We can jump back over here and take a look at that elevator pit area and see what's different about that shoring wall versus the plans. It kind of just terminates into the hillside right there. So there's no shoring wall at all between those elevator pits, which is a good thing for the coordination and routing of all of those systems. So we can kind of take a look at that. The scan information was useful for those particular areas that we identified, but all of that data is also available for anything else you might want to look at as far as areas of excavation. In particular on this project, they were putting down like a rat slab and some riprap, and we were hoping it would all be lower than our intended routing for our underground systems. But using that scan, we could identify areas where they weren't low enough. So this is a more common project that we would use the scanner on. This is a renovation of a building that was renovated, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 2000s. So there's asbestos and all kinds of other stuff. So again, viewing on the scanner first, we can kind of take a look with our CAD files or 3D model imported into the scanner. We can kind of see these ducts right here. The taps aren't connected to anything. And over here, and the anticipation was that there is an existing duct here that those would connect to. So you can see it already on the tablet, but again, it's kind of siloed information on how do you share it. So we take that data back into Revizto where we can overlay our shop drawings or our engineered contract documents with the model and with the scan. And we can take a look at things like beams. Here we have an issue where the red is the beam in the model that we detailed to, but the scan shows that the real beam's like about 3 inches lower. So it's an issue in Revizto. We can look at it resolved here by clicking 3D. You can see the ducts now routed below the scanned model versus the engineering model that we were provided. So that's kind of a nice feature to be able to jump back and forth from 3D and 2D documents. We can then see where that is on our shop drawings. There's also a map feature as well, but using it against your own shop drawing is handy, because if foreman flags an issue, like in this case, this was issue the foreman identified, you can say, okay, where's that duct that I need to go fix right away. This is the area where we were looking at where that existing duct was supposed to be. Obviously, the demo guys got carried away. So there's some missing, but there's also areas just like that where there's other existing duct that we're anticipating being there. So we can use this teleport feature to jump into the model now that we have the scan loaded. And we can take a look at other areas where we were trying to tie into existing duct runs. So here we have a tap that's pretty close, and kind of jockey around here and inside the scan and try to see how close it really is. You know, it's a few inches off. I'd say that whatever we were provided for a as-built was pretty close in that particular area. You know, in this particular instance, we're looking at some spiral round, knowing the existing conditions. You know, that stuff's going to get ordered in 10-foot lengths and probably cut to the field for some of that. Not all send out cut to length when you're tying into existing. So for these few taps in this area, the trunk line's there. It's close enough that they can make a field adjustment and make that work. So that's not anything that would require recoordination. So when you do have changes that you need to make and you want to be able to compare them with what you had drawn previously or what the previous design was, or there's instances where you might have several options that you want to compare and you don't know which one's going to get approved. A feature that's underutilized in Revit is this design option feature. And so we're looking here at a fan coil unit with a 12-inch round coming towards us and then 3 8-inch taps coming off of it to feed those diffusers. But what if we wanted to change it to 3 8-inch rounds right off the rectangular trunk? We could create a option set, and I've already renamed it here, 112 versus 3/8. And then you can create individual options underneath the option set. And you can create as many as you want. And so each option set can contain several options. And then when you create those sets, the thing that Revit does with that is it allows you to have different objects in the same place, but they'll only display one at any given time. It's not going to show you both. So if you switch the main model to the specific option, the option's going to be lit up for easy editing, but the rest of the model is going to be dimmed out like in an underlay mode. And then the good thing about the design options is you can alter what a view shows. So this view is showing the main model and including the primary design option, but we can also have a view that shows the 3.8 options by changing the visibility graphics settings to which option you want shown in that view. You can do the same for schedules as well. And that's where you can do your quantity takeoff or your bombs for estimating by doing the same thing. So you can add the option, which means you can have a report for total material on the job or total material just for those exclusive options. And because you can do individual views showing the same location but under different options, you're able to drag all of that onto one sheet and have them side by side. So that's the same fan coil unit, the same rectangular duct. The only thing that's changed is those other ducts, and it won't allow you to have them both be active at the same time, causing incorrect quantities. Where if you drew it twice, like in a CAD world, like on a different layer, you might accidentally have too many of them.